Welcome, wanderers of light and shadow. You have stepped into a realm where legends breathe, and time itself remembers the wars of gods. This is Anime What If Saga, where stories of fate and power awaken once more. Today, we begin the divine saga of the rulers, beings born from light itself. In the beginning, before stars dared to shine and before creation took breath, there was silence. Not the silence of peace, but the silence before the first heartbeat, the calm before existence itself trembled into being. From that boundless void emerged the absolute being, neither god nor mortal, but the origin of all. Its will was infinite light, its thought the seed of reality. When it spoke, galaxies were born. When it dreamed, realms unfolded. Yet even in its perfection, the absolute being felt a hollow longing, for harmony, for balance, for guardians who could uphold the order it envisioned. So, from the essence of its light, the absolute being forged the rulers. They were not born as children, but as celestial flames, each a reflection of divine purpose. Their wings shone brighter than dawn itself, and their voices carried the resonance of truth. To each was bestowed a fragment of the Absolute's will, to protect, to judge, to preserve. And thus began the Age of Light. Among them rose Legia, the first ruler, whose radiance could silence storms. His heart was the most faithful, and his hand carried the light of command. Beside him stood Radier, the guardian of realms, whose wings spanned the heavens themselves. His gaze could pierce the lies of creation. And there was Ashborn, the silent one, whose flame burned deepest. His was the power of deathless resolve, the calm that followed every storm. Together, they watched over the newborn cosmos, shaping the laws that governed stars and spirits alike. Under their watch, the multiverse blossomed in harmony. But light, in its purity, cast shadows deeper than even the void could swallow. Beyond the farthest edge of the ruler's dominion, where creation's light waned, another will began to stir, the yearning of darkness itself. From the remnants of forgotten chaos, the monarchs emerged, beings of pure destruction, born from the Absolute's shadow. For as light was forged, darkness found its shape. The monarchs were the mirror and the rebellion, embodiments of chaos, instinct, and hunger. Where the rulers sought balance, the monarchs sought dominance. To them, creation was a wound, and they were its cure. The first clash between light and dark was not a battle, but a song of unmaking. The heavens split. Suns bled gold and crimson. Stars were shattered into cosmic dust as rulers descended upon the legions of the void. Their wings left trails of light that scarred the universe, while the monarchs' roars tore through existence like storms of hate. Ashborn moved like a shadow of light, his blade a crescent of judgment. Legia's command shook worlds, and Radier's light burned through the monarchs' hordes. For millennia, they fought, neither side yielding, neither side fading. Yet in the heart of that endless war, a whisper began to echo, a truth that would unravel eternity itself. Ashborn began to see it first. Why do we fight? He asked beneath the burning skies. If we are the children of the absolute being, and they too are born from its shadow, are we not brothers of the same origin? Legia's eyes hardened. They are corruption. They are what should not be. But they are, Ashborn said quietly. The absolute created both light and dark. Then who are we to judge what must exist? For the first time, doubt spread through the hearts of the rulers, a seed of defiance that even the Absolute's light could not burn away. 1,000 ages passed. The war did not end, it only changed form. Worlds perished, and others were born anew. Yet through it all, the rulers felt something slipping away, the purpose that once bound them. Then came the day that shattered heaven itself. The rulers, weary and broken, gathered before the throne of the absolute being, that infinite presence that had not spoken since the dawn. Legia knelt, wings trembling. O Absolute One, we have fought your war since the beginning. But why must the light forever bleed to preserve your will? Why must we destroy what you created? No answer came. Only silence, vast, heavy, eternal. Ashborn raised his head, his voice trembling. Have you abandoned us? The silence deepened, consuming the chamber of light. And in that stillness, something within the rulers broke. If the absolute being cannot answer, Legia whispered, then perhaps it no longer deserves to rule creation. It was blasphemy, and yet, it was truth. So the rulers turned their light upon the throne of their own God. The heavens wept as their divine blades were raised against the one who had birthed them. A storm of radiance tore through the divine realm. When the light faded, the absolute being was gone. They had slain their creator. But in that victory, there was no triumph, only silence, deeper than before. Ashborn stood apart from them, his wings dimmed to a shade between gold and shadow. We were born from light to protect balance. Yet now we have destroyed the very heart of it. Legia said coldly, the Absolute's will is gone. Now we are the keepers of creation. But Ashborn's gaze turned toward the darkness beyond the stars, where the monarchs still stirred. Without the Absolute, light and dark will fall into chaos. This war will never end. Radier replied, then we must finish it, once and for all. Ashborn closed his eyes. And if the cost is our souls. Legia's wings flared. Then let them burn. For light must prevail. Thus began the final war of eternity. A war not of creation's defense, but of its survival. The monarchs rose from their endless abyss, led by Antares, the dragon emperor, a being whose presence could swallow suns. His army of darkness consumed realms like wildfire. The rulers descended once more, but now they fought without the will of the Absolute to guide them, only conviction, fragile and fading. The heavens burned for eons. Ashborn's blade struck against Antares's claw in battles that shattered time itself. Planets turned to ash beneath their blows, and dimensions collapsed into silence. And yet, even as light clashed against shadow, something began to change. Ashborn no longer fought for victory. He fought for meaning. He saw in the monarchs' rage a reflection of the rulers' pride. He saw that both sides were trapped in a cycle without end, creations of a god who was no longer there. When Antares spoke, his voice was thunder. We are the same, you and I, bound to a fate written by a dead god. Ashborn said quietly, then perhaps it is time to rewrite it. The dragon monarch laughed, wings tearing through the sky. Can light rewrite darkness? No, Ashborn said. But balance can. As the war reached its peak, Ashborn made a choice that would echo through eternity. He turned his back on the light. He forsook the rulers, his wings dimming until they were black as night. From the ashes of faith, he was reborn, not as a ruler, nor a monarch, but something in between. The shadow monarch. In him burned both light and darkness, creation and destruction, the perfect contradiction. He saw the truth that neither side wished to face, that existence could not survive in absolutes. The rulers saw his transformation as betrayal. Legia raised his sword. Ashborn, you have fallen. Ashborn met his gaze. No, brother. I have awakened. The battle that followed tore the heavens apart. Ruler against ruler, brother against brother. Ashborn's shadows clashed with Legia's divine fire. Every strike was a cry of sorrow, every blow a hymn of regret. When it ended, the light of the rulers dimmed forever. Ashborn disappeared into the veil between worlds, a silent king watching over both life and death. Yet even after the divine war faded, the echoes of their conflict shaped all that followed. The rulers, broken and repentant, turned their gaze upon a fragile, newborn species, humanity. In mortal hearts, they saw the spark they had lost, the will to grow, to love, to defy destiny. And so, they vowed to guide them, not as gods, but as unseen guardians. Legia, once proud, became the voice of judgment that whispered within the hearts of heroes. Radier became the unseen hand that protected those who stood against darkness. And Ashborn, though distant, became the shadow that granted mortals the strength to rise, the balance between despair and hope. The rulers' wings no longer filled the skies, but their light lived on in every human soul that dared to defy fate. And thus, the age of gods ended. The age of men began. And thus, the first dawn shone upon the heavens. The rulers were born, pure, radiant, and eternal. But every light casts a shadow. Continue the saga in Part 2, The War of Eternity. If this story touched your heart, remember to like, comment, and share it. Subscribe for the next chapter in the solo leveling universe.